This is Above the Fold, devlog number 9? It's devlog 9, yes, the last of the single digits. And it's been a while since the last one because, well, I went to Hawaii, and then when I got back, I got sidetracked by Ludum Dare 41, which I will talk about in a separate video and link to in this one. But let's get back to it. Above the Fold, my newspaper simulation game. So I'm going to start it up so you can see where it's at right now. And it'll look very different. Again, not for the first time. There we go. As you'll see now, it starts with, well, what will eventually be a menu screen. For now, it has a logo and a button. The button starts the game for reals. And you can do what you've already seen before if you've seen any of the previous devlogs, which is that you can hire reporters. That's what I'm doing now. I'm hiring some reporters. Over here, this is William Gilmore. He likes to write about science and entertainment. So here's a science article. Oh, didn't do. So I assigned that to him. You can see a little check mark there. Next up is Tom Wayne here. He likes offbeat. He gets this one. I picked this one because it had the higher importance, 161, whereas the other one, which is since despawned, was a much less important story to tell. That's one parameter that you can use in the game to decide what to write. You do want to match up with these interests though, because as you can see, these stories have importance scores, and the importance scores for stories double when they are matched with a writer who likes the particular topic. Now keep in mind, there are also topics that writers dislike, which is not shown here yet. I'm thinking that might end up being something that you actually unlock in the game. The ability to see what your potential hirees, employees, I guess it's called, what they are, or hires, yeah, what they don't like to write about. I think you can actually see it if there's a reporter available for hire right now, which there isn't. But then I think you can see it when you mouse over them, kind of like when you mouse over stories, you get information. But once you hire them, it disappears from this. But eventually, it'll be hidden information until you unlock, I don't know, maybe a HR department or something like that. Hire a recruiter for your staff, something to sort of unlock. There'll be lots of stuff like that eventually. I might even hide the interests as well. So anyway, you can see now, time is almost up. Everybody has a story assigned. Any second now, the county hour will go to the next screen, which is where everything is put together. And this is kind of where stuff starts to fall apart. So what's meant to happen here is deadline has come. It's time for you to put your newspaper together. All of the stories that were written will appear over here on the left side, and you will get to choose where they go. So for now, for starters, what I'm doing is I'm transferring the data from the previous screen, as in the stories that the various journalists were working on, into this screen. And then for all the stories that are done, a block of text is filled out here in the newspaper. Okay? And the headline for the story that has finished is displayed at the top here. As you can tell, 107 is not the actual headline for the story. That's actually the importance score. I'm not really sure why it pulls that. I must have switched around a couple of things in the code. And there are some other things as well that are not loading properly or rendering properly as expected. And that actually says a lot about the current state of the game. There's a lot of back and forth. The process of room transition or scene transition, whatever you want to call it, and making sure that the data that is needed is transferred correctly, and fixing little bugs that just happen when you introduce something as big as room transition. you know, it's a lot of like kind of boring work. There's not much really to show for that, except that you can see that it actually changes rooms. But on the path to that, I've had numerous like game crashing bugs and little things like issue 1, it says here. Issue 1, for some reason it said issue 2 at first. The very first time you go to the screen, it was said issue 2. So alright, so we're back now, which means it's actually a new day. It says issue 2 now here. Issue 1 has been published. Currently it doesn't award any points. The scoring system is more or less finished, but it's stuck in an old script. This script here, just open that up real quick. It's my deadline script. It does a bunch of stuff that happens when the deadline hits, right? So this is a bunch of stuff that happens when deadline hits, but it was kind of written in a way that was for debug purposes, and so I have to split it up and take some of this code and put it elsewhere. It has to run in separate orders and different things. I may have to rewrite some of it. So again, this is another example of those, like, as I tweeted the other day, it's 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. That is the process of making a video game. But you know, I'm not complaining. It's totally expected. It's not something, making a game is not something that you do in a few hours. It really does take a long time. But I also don't want to underestimate the power of having room transition and what that actually means. What it means, very briefly, is that we actually have a game now. There's one room that still is not implemented, and that's the office. The point of the office is that this is where you'll be managing your staff, your advertisers, and take phone calls with the owner, and so on and so forth. And the workflow, or where it sort of fits into the sort of game, the flow in the game, is that, so we go from the map to the editor's desk, and once the editor's desk, actually, let me revise that. You actually start in the office, because every morning you'll be in the office, and you can make changes and phone calls, and then you go to the map, you go put it together, the newspaper is published, you'll get some kind of result screen. Currently I'm thinking it'll be just a pop-up on this same screen. Then you go back to the office, start a new day. You can adjust as you need, and of course finally the menu is just for entering the game. So that's what we have in room, as far as room transitioning goes and that sort of thing. And that is more or less it for the content here in devlog number 9. Thank you to everybody who has been following the progress of Above the Fold so far. I want to remind you that you can go to abovethefoldgame.com and sign up for email notifications. It's just for making sure that you don't miss like the really important things, like the game is done, stuff like that, which is still very far off. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at @theprint, and that's where I'm posting most of my sort of day-to-day stuff. Though I do plan on making more regular devlog videos, specifically once a week. So for now, thanks for watching, and see you again next week.